The Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. Listen to Mike Shilt's post-game comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
We are live inside our San Diego studios on this Friday evening. Final score in the series opener in Minnesota, the Twins 7 and the Padres 4. Sam Levitt with you as we recap this one. Hey, player, the all-new Jamul Casino Resort is now open with a Lux Hotel Tower, rooftop pool, spa, and a long list of amazing amenities. You'll have more ways to play and enjoy all the perks of your casino fun. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Padres dropped to 75-60 with the loss. The Twins improved to 61-73 with their win in this series opener here tonight. We'll go back to Target Field in Minnesota, hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a little bit. We have all the radio highlights for you, but first, some initial thoughts from this one. This was not a great day for the San Diego Padres. It started with the bad news of Xander Bogaerts going on the IL with a non-displaced fracture in his left foot. He banged a foul ball off his foot on Wednesday in Seattle. Unclear what exactly the timetable is going to be for Xander, but the Padres early in the day lost their starting shortstop. They did get good news on Jackson Merrill. Michael King, seems like those guys are getting pretty close to coming back. We'll see what the updates are on them in the next couple of days. But you had a game in the series opener here tonight where really, aside from the Padres creating a rally late to get back into the game and make it a ball game again, really, the Padres did not play well in all facets tonight. The starting pitching, Nestor Cortes going just 3+ innings, 3 earned runs given up, 5 hits. The bullpen tonight, Peralta gives up 2 runs, gets 1 out. David Morgan gives up a run. Yuki Matsui gives up a run. Alec Jacob, we'll talk more about him later, did a good job keeping the Twins' run total where it was. A huge error in that 4-run 4th inning committed by Jake Cronenworth on what should have been a double play ball. Taylor made double play ball. Cronenworth can't make the play, goes into the outfield. Padres get no outs. 2 runs come in. And that really set the tone for the 4th inning and this game. That becomes a big inning. And offensively, the Padres did some good things late. They did a couple of good things in the 3rd and the 4th where they got a run, but Zebby Matthews goes into the 7th inning in this game, picks up the win, a quality start for him. 6 innings, 2 earned runs given up. So look, there's no way around it against a Twins team that came in 13 games below 500. Padres didn't have great starting pitching tonight. The bullpen wasn't great tonight. The defense was not great tonight. Fernando Tatis Jr., I don't know that there's anything he really could have done in that 7th inning differently, but he gets picked off first base on the line-out double play off the bat of Arise. Padres in this game went 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They left some base runners out there. They left 6 on base in this game, and it just wasn't a very good series opener, to put it bluntly, against a team that's sold off the trade deadline and is not playing well in the Minnesota Twins. We said it pregame, 4-12 in their last 16 games. So what do you do from here? Well, you flush it. You get ready for tomorrow's game. Nick Pivetta, who has been so good as a stopper for this team all year, kind of feels like he's got to do that tomorrow. Padres now 1-3 on this trip, and you do not want to lose this series to the Minnesota Twins when you have your sights set on a division title. You're already trailing the Dodgers by 2 games. Entering the day, we'll give you the update from LA. They're playing the Diamondbacks tonight at Dodger Stadium. We'll get into that with the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later. But the Padres, bottom line, lose the series opener in just a game where they just didn't play very well in a lot of different facets. Cortes getting in trouble, giving up runs, the bullpen, the defense. It just was not a great taste in your mouth kind of game from the Padres here tonight. Felt like a lot of things did not go right. With that said, it's one game. It's baseball. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day, but certainly not the way the Padres wanted this series opener to go in Minnesota. We'll step aside. When we come back, we have the full game recap, all the radio highlights. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up a little bit later as well. Final score on this Friday, Twins 7 and the Padres 4. Our postgame coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score in this series opener in Minnesota, the Twins 7 and the Padres 4. Padres dropped to 75 and 60 on the season. Minnesota improves to 61 and 73. A quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard just on what's going on up in LA. Obviously, imperative that we keep an eye on what the Dodgers are doing this time of year. Good news there. Arizona winning 2-0 in LA right now in the top half of the sixth inning. So if you're a Padres fan, you're rooting for the D-backs, because if the D-backs do hold on to what is a 2-0 lead for them right now, Padres would remain 2 games out of first place in the National League West. So that would be a little silver lining from tonight if the Dodgers were to lose, and you don't lose any ground in the NL West divisional race. Tough one here tonight for the Padres, no doubt about it. We talked about it in the opening segment. Not the cleanest game the Padres have played, starting pitching, bullpen, defense. You could argue a little base running as well. It was a little bit of everything as far as the problems here tonight for the Padres as they drop this series opener. Let's recap it from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Our starting pitching matchup tonight, lefty Nestor Cortes for the Padres against righty Zebby Matthews for Minnesota. Both guys tossed 2 scoreless innings to begin the night. Top half of the third, Padres put runners on first and third with 1 out for Luis Arraez. He hit a sac fly to left, and the Padres had a 1-0 lead. Cortes then gave up back-to-back singles to start the bottom half of the inning. The Twins tied the game on a fielder's choice from Byron Buxton. It was 1-1. Top half of the fourth inning, Gavin Sheets, who had a good night. We'll talk more about him later. He hit a 2-out double. Jose Iglesias was next.
0-2. Oh, yeah. Base hit into right field. Leaper's going to send Gavin Sheets. Here comes the throw. It's going to be up the line, and the Padres have a 2-1 lead on the RBI single by Jose Iglesias. The throw gets past the catcher, and now Iglesias is going to be awarded second base. Padres have a 2-1 lead on the 2-out damage by Jose Iglesias.
So the Padres had a 2-1 lead going bottom 4. Cortes gave up a single and a walk to start that bottom half of the fourth inning. Mike Shildt then started to walk up the dugout steps to take him out at 66 pitches. While that was happening, Cortes said something to home plate umpire Manny Gonzalez and got thrown out of the game. He was coming out anyway, it looked like, but technically, Cortes ejected from the game. Wandy Peralta came in. Royce Lewis greeted him with a single to load the bases. Nobody out. Again, the Padres leading 2-1. Bottom half of the fourth inning. Bases all loaded up for Cody Clemens.
Plate appearance. First pitch swing. Ground ball to Jake. It gets through his legs into right field. 1 run is in. Here comes another run, and all of a sudden, the Twins have a 3-2 lead. That's bobbled by Fernando, but not enough for anybody to advance. But what looked like could be a 4-6-3 double play goes past Jake, and all of a sudden 2 runs are in as Wallner and Martin are able to score.
Yeah, a very, very rare critical error from Jake Cronenworth on what should have been a tailor-made double play ball. Instead, the Padres got nothing. 2 runs came in. Twins had a 3-2 lead. Big error on Cronenworth. Next up, the number 9 batter, Trevor Larnach.
1-0 to Larnach, hot shot right back up the middle past Wandy Peralta. 1 run is in, here comes another run, and all of a sudden, the Twins have a 5-2 lead on the 2-run single by Trevor Larnach.
Yeah, it happened in a hurry for Minnesota. The span of 5 batters in that fourth inning. 4 runs came in, and it went from a 2-1 Padre lead to a 5-2 deficit. There was still nobody out. Peralta would face one more hitter and get an out. David Morgan would finish the inning with the Padres down 5-2. Things didn't get a whole lot better. Royce Lewis hit a solo home run off Morgan in the 5th inning to make it 6-2. Yuki Matsui came in. He allowed a walk and a couple of singles to make it 7-2. Meanwhile, Zebby Matthews pitched into the 7th inning. He gave up a leadoff single by Gavin Sheets to start the inning. Matthews came out. Righty Justin Topa came in. He gave up a single and a walk. The Padres had the bases loaded. They had something cooking in that 7th inning with 1 out and the bases still all loaded up. It was Fernando Tatis Jr.
Right-hander's offering, swung on ground ball up the middle, base hit. Gavin Sheets is going to score. Jose Iglesias is being sent. He's going to score. It's a 2-run single for Fernando, and the Padres now trail 7-4.
Padres still had runners on first and second with one out, but Luis Ariz then lined into a double play. Tatis caught off first base. The inning was over. You felt like it could have been a bigger inning. Padres did get 2 runs. They trailed 7-4. Cole Sands threw a scoreless 8th inning. Then it was Cody Funderburk who came in for the 9th inning. Padres down 7-4. And in that top half of the 9th inning, Padres would make a little bit of noise in that top half of the 9th inning. Gavin Sheets, a leadoff walk. Jake Cronenworth, a 1-out walk. So the Padres had runners on first and second with 1 out, but Elias Diaz struck out swinging. Fernando Tatis Jr. flew out to right. Both those guys representing the tying run. And that was it here tonight. Final score, Minnesota 7 and the Padres 4. Again, the Padres scoring 2 in the 7th inning to make it 7-4. They got the tying run to the plate a couple of times in the top of the 9th inning, but not enough as Cody Funderburk shuts the door, picks up his first save of the season. Zebby Matthews gets the win for the Twins, and Nestor Cortez takes the loss for San Diego. Padres now 75-60 on the year. Minnesota improves to 61-73, and we'll see what happens in LA. If the Dodgers do lose in LA, Padres will stay 2 games out of first place in the NL West. If the Dodgers come back to win that game against Arizona, they're trailing 3-0 now in the 6th inning. Dodgers would gain a game on the Padres, move 3 games ahead for first place in the NL West, but obviously not a good series opener for the Padres in Minnesota tonight. They are now just 1-3 on this 6-game road trip, and they'll try to bounce back tomorrow with right-hander Nick Pivetta on the hill. When we come back, we'll go back to Minnesota, hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Again, the final here tonight, Twins 7 and the Padres 4. Our post-game coverage continues after this.
When you watch people on TV, have you ever wondered what are these foam things that go over the microphone? Let me show you.
This is a windscreen. They're really helpful when you're broadcasting outside.
Without it, do you hear that wind? But with it on, I sound much more clear.
Welcome to a day in my life as a minor league baseball broadcaster. Start my day with a cup of coffee, then to the stadium. Go to my booth, spend the morning cutting video from the night before, catching up on email, and researching for tonight's game. Then I go home, shower, get my work clothes, and on this day I made a stop for lunch. Barbecue. Then I drive back to the stadium, get our equipment ready like setting up all the mics. I watch batting practice, talk to the players, coaches, write my lineups in, keep researching, and prep for my pregame interviews. Change from this to this. I head down to the field, host my pregame show on TV, then back upstairs where I broadcast every pitch on TV and radio.
And the Soft Poodles win.
When you watch baseball on TV or listen to it on the radio, have you ever wondered how you hear this sound so clearly? At my stadium, that sound comes from this mic behind home plate. It's wired all the way up to my broadcast booth, where I plug it in, and that's how you hear it. During my broadcast last night, everyone wanted me to say avocado. Could I do it? Beautiful night here in San Antonio. So nice it almost feels like that feeling when you break open an avocado, you spread it on a good piece of toast, you take a bite in the morning. And with that, the 2021 season, and with that, the 2022 season, and with that, the 2023 season, and with that, the 2024 season comes to an end. Good night. As a baseball broadcaster, many of you have asked me some version of this. Why do I peek down when a fly ball goes in the air? Let me show you. In my scorebook, I write down the defense and where every player is. That way, I can do this. 2-2 on the way. Swinging a drive into left. Going back, Matajevic drifting by the fence. He's looking up and say goodbye.
People keep asking how I go to the bathroom during games. Here's the answer. I run. The bathroom is far away. Really far. I only have 90 seconds.
The bottom half of the 6th
I'm
inning.
always out of breath.
Frisco 3, Amarillo 2.
How other broadcasters handle a foul ball.
Yeah! Hacks!
How I handle
3-2.
one.
Hit foul straight back this way. Oh my goodness.
When you watch people on TV, have you ever wondered what are these foam things that go over the microphone? Let me show you.
This is a windscreen. They're really helpful when you're broadcasting outside.
Without it, do you hear that wind? But with it on, I sound much more clear.
Welcome to a day in my life.
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here tonight, the Twins 7 and the Padres 4. Hey, player, the all-new Jamul Casino Resort is now open with a Lux Hotel Tower and an elegant new spa. We have more ways for you to enjoy all the perks of your casino fun. Jamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place. Tough one here tonight for the Padres as they fall in this series opener to a team in the Twins. They came in 13 games below 500, and like we said in the opening segment, and I'm not trying to pile on, it was just kind of an ugly game for the Padres in every facet. Nestor Cortes couldn't get out of the fourth inning through 66 pitches in this game. Mike Shildt pretty aggressive with getting him out of the game, went to Wandy Peralta with nobody out in that fourth inning, but Cortes ultimately charged with 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 hits in 3+ innings. Wandy Peralta only got an out, gave up 1 earned run, 2 runs total, 2 hits in this game. Obviously, a big error in that fourth inning from Jake Cronenworth. It really opened up the floodgates, if you will, to what became a 4-run fourth inning as the Twins took command. David Morgan giving up a home run in this game. Yuki Matsui came in for an inning, gave up a run. Alec Jacob, we'll talk more about him a little bit later. He was actually really good, and I think in the big picture of this game, if you want to pull a silver lining from it, actually did an important job in this game. We'll talk more about him later, but again, starting pitching, not great. Bullpen work, not great. Defense, not great. Offense, kind of so-so. Scoring 4 runs here today and only 3 against the guy in Zebby Matthews, who came in with an ERA north of 5. So again, it was a little bit of everything. Obviously, that fourth inning really kind of set the tone for the whole game because of the pitching and the defense. And unfortunately, the Padres unable to erase what would ultimately become a 7-2 deficit. They made it interesting, made it 7-4. Then they threatened in the 9th inning, but could not find that big hit to ultimately pull even in this series opener. Let's go back to Target Field in Minneapolis and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Mike, I wonder what you saw with Nestor. Didn't have nearly the command he had last time.
Not as much. I mean, he got through 3, gave up 1 run, went out, base hit, the walk, is usually the determining factor. Recognized at that point, let's go to the pin. And when he came in, base hit to Lewis, then the ground ball that we couldn't execute, and then kind of went from there.
A little uncharacteristic of the night, the play for Jake.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, no, we don't. We saw it. We almost never, ever see it. So, Jake's played Gold Glove caliber second base this year. He's as reliable defenders we have, and it happens.
What did happen with Nestor there at the end? You were going out to get him, and
he took exception with some of Manny's ball strike calls, and I guess he had enough of it.
You were going out to get him regardless?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Imagine Alec Jacob did just solid there.
Alec was fantastic. Gave us a chance. We had the time run up the plate in the 9th. So yeah, did a nice job. I mean, got to him, and then 2 and 1/3, and like I said, gave us a chance to get the time run up. We just couldn't get a big hit.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt following this 7-4 loss in Minnesota. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue to wrap this one up. Yeah, you could look at the play-by-play if you weren't watching the game, listening to the game here on 97.3 The Fan. You could look at the play-by-play and say, what happened? Nestor Cortes got thrown out of the game. How does an umpire throw a starting pitcher out of a game, right? Well, again, like you heard there, Mike Shildt was coming out anyway, so he was coming out of the game regardless. He just technically got ejected instead of normally being taken out, but Mike was coming out anyway, so it really wasn't all that big of a deal that Cortes got ejected. Just to focus on the fourth inning in particular, look, I'm with Mike. Jake Cronenworth is a very good defender. That's a play he makes. I mean, I would think if he had 100 more chances to make that play on a tailor-made double play ball, he makes that play 100 times out of the next 100. That's how rare of an error that is for Jake. He's very good defensively. He's very sure-handed. But bottom line, it was a big error in this game. It really opened up that fourth inning. Think about it this way. Had Cronenworth made that play, and let's say the Padres turn 2 on that. Yeah, a run comes in to make it a 2-2 game, but you have a 2-2 game with 2 outs and a runner on third base. And instead it was runners on second and third with nobody out, and the Twins took a 3-2 lead. So it was a really critical error in this game by Jake. It happens. I'm not going to get all over Jake tonight. It happens. Okay. Made an error. It ended up being a really big error. It does happen. It was unfortunate. If he makes that play and they turn 2, this is a very different game. I think there's a very good chance the Padres win this game, but it allowed that fourth inning to become a really, really big inning. And it went from the Padres being ahead 2-1 to behind 5-2 in that fourth inning alone. And then the bullpen couldn't stop the Twins from scoring in the fifth inning. And all of a sudden you look up, end of 5 innings, you're down 7-2. And it's a really tall mountain to climb for the Padres offense here tonight. And they couldn't quite climb it. As far as Nestor Cortes, look, it was disappointing tonight. He was coming off such a good outing against the Dodgers where he was in command, gave up 1 hit, retired 18 of the 19 batters he faced last weekend against LA. And here today, it was just a different story. You know, the first 2 innings were good, gave up a 1-out single, a 2-out double, worked out of it, dealt with a couple of base runners on with nobody out in the third, worked through it, gave up 1 run, and then single walk in that fourth inning. And again, look, Mike Shildt was very quick to go get him in this game, 66 pitches in. He got very aggressive with the bullpen, went to Wandy Peralta, and look, Wandy, you know, did a pretty okay job, to be honest with you. Again, remember, there's the ground ball that Wandy gets that Cronenworth couldn't handle, then ends up getting a ground ball up the middle that gets into center. So Wandy, you know, to be honest with you, kind of did his job in getting ground balls. It was the defense behind him, and then a well-placed ground ball off the bat of Larnach. So a tough one for the Padres, no doubt about it. Again, there were all different elements to this loss here tonight as they drop at 7-4. We'll step aside. When we return, we will get into our daily awards. We will talk about Alec Jacob because I thought Alec did a really good job tonight. We'll also talk about Gavin Sheets, because if we're going to pull some positives from this game, I think Sheets and Jacob are obvious ones from this one. We'll get to your phone calls, 833-288-0973 as well. Final score, Twins 7, Padres 4 in this series opener. Our postgame coverage continues after these words. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score, the Twins 7 and the Padres 4 as the Padres drop this series opener in Minnesota. We'll get to a couple of your phone calls here in a second. 833-288-0973 phone number to call. Let's, before we do that, talk about some of the positives from this game. Hey, why not, right? Let's tell you about our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, presented by David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys. When your freedom and future are on the line, you need the best arm in the pen. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com.
Well, we'll stay on the Padres side of things here with relief pitcher of the game. And again, I thought it was a good opportunity to give a shout out to Alec Jacob. Look, he was good tonight. Came in the sixth inning, got out of that sixth inning, out of a big jam, bases loaded in that sixth after he walked the first guy he faced. And then he comes back out, throws a scoreless seventh inning, 1-2-3 eighth inning, lone 1-2-3 frame of the evening for the Padres. And look, forget about the score, forget about the result of the game. What Alec Jacob did by going 2 innings and a third, throwing 34 pitches, what he did was he made sure that in a game where the Padres were down by 5, then they were down by 3. This was not the typical situation where you're going to see any of the high leverage guys, Suarez, Morejon, Estrada, Adam, Miller. Well, guess what? They were all that was left if Alec Jacob can't finish this game on a pitching side of things, regardless of the score and the result. I mean, you were going to have Jeremiah Estrada was warming up at some point. So, you know, you if you're Mike Shildt, you don't want to use one of those guys there. So to me, what Alec Jacob did here tonight was actually really important to make sure. And look, would it have been the end of the world had Jeremiah Estrada come in and pitch this game? No, the Padres bullpen is deep enough where they can withstand, you know, having a quote unquote waste a high leverage guy in a game like this. But Alec Jacob made sure they didn't have to use him. So look, and it's not going to make anybody feel better about tonight's game, but it actually was, to me, a really nice piece of this game from a Padres standpoint. The fact that Alec Jacob went out there, got 7 outs, and made sure that Mike Shildt didn't have to use anybody else. Didn't have to use any of those 5 guys, Miller, Estrada, Suarez, Morejon, Adam. Let them rest tonight, have everybody available for tomorrow and for Sunday and moving forward. So Alec Jacob, for that reason, 2 1/3 scoreless innings, 34 pitches. He was our relief pitcher of the game. We'll also pull another positive. This is going to be the positive little segment here out of what was otherwise not a super positive game from a Padres standpoint, but let's hear tonight's catch of the game.
Which defensive play had the biggest impact on today's game?
He is at the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch.
This is the catch of the game.
Gonna hang a star for Jackson Merrill.
Reeled in by Anthony's Fish Grotto La Mesa, celebrating 80 years of seafood excellence.
3-2 swung on line drive. This one's heading towards the gap. A long way to go for Ramon Laureano, but he gets there, and he's going to try to go for 2. Here comes the throw. It is going to be in time. And Jeffers is nailed, trying to stretch the single into the double. Ramon Laureano doing a nice job of getting to that ball, getting rid of it in a hurry. And the catcher is gunned down here for the second out.
Yeah, really nice play by Ramon Laureano. Got to it in the gap, made a good strong throw. They actually got Jeffers by a mile at second base, and it did help Nestor Cortes through a scoreless first inning. So, again, in the big scheme of this game, did it help the Padres avoid a 7-4 loss? Well, at the time, it helped Cortes through the first inning, and he was through 2 scoreless innings. And if Laureano doesn't get to that ball and make as great of a throw as he did to second base, who knows? Maybe the Twins score in that first inning. They did not. So for that reason, despite the final score, that great play by Ramon Laureano, great stop and throw. That is tonight's catch of the game. I will point out one more, I think, distinct positive from this one, and that is the continued excellence from Gavin Sheets, who had 3 more hits tonight, had a double, had 2 runs scored. Gavin Sheets, and let me just pull this up quickly, since August 11th, since he really started getting some more regular playing time after he really was not playing much at all post-deadline. From August 11th through tonight, here are the numbers for Gavin Sheets. This is a span of 40 at-bats. 425 batting average, 1302 OPS, 477 on-base percentage, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, 7 doubles, and 9 runs scored. I mean, think about that for a second. 14 games, 40 at-bats, 1302 OPS, 477 on base. He has 3 home runs, 7 doubles in 14 games, and 6 RBIs, 9 runs scored. I mean, look, no doubt that's a big positive from this game that Gavin Sheets continues to play exceptionally well. And look, I'll tell you what, Jackson Merrill's not going to be back tomorrow. It sounds like maybe a possibility for Sunday. We'll see. He's going to take more live at-bats tomorrow. He took them today, but he's not going to return tomorrow. We found that out from Mike Shildt earlier in the day. Tell you what, how is Gavin Sheets not in this lineup when Jackson returns? Right? I mean, Laureano, I would assume, is going back to left, but it is going to be awfully hard to leave Gavin Sheets out of this lineup. It really, really is. So that's going to be a fascinating situation and decision for Mike Shildt and the Padres, because with the way he's playing, how is Gavin Sheets going to be out of this lineup once Jackson comes back, right? You would assume O'Hearn's going to be in there. Keep an eye on that situation, because Gavin's playing so well. I mean, if Jackson was returning tomorrow, or even if he returned Sunday, I mean, Sheets has been so good. So it's going to be very, very hard to keep him out of the lineup. It is. So it's a bit of a fascinating situation there developing, because Sheets has been unbelievable. All right, let's quickly squeeze in a phone call here, 833-288-0973. We go to Chris, who I understand was at the game in Minnesota tonight. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Sammy. How you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, we're me and my girl. We're on our road trip. We were in Seattle, and now we're in Minnesota. We usually pick one road trip every year and go check out new stadiums. But yeah, I'm just curious your opinion. I think you hit on it a little earlier, just about bringing in Wandy and Yuki. It's like every time they come in, I just get this pit in my stomach, like we're giving up on the game. And I understand we can't use the 4 horsemen or whatever every game, but it's disappointing.
Yeah, Chris, it's a good question. I appreciate the phone call and hope you had a great time at the game in Minnesota, despite the final score. And very cool that you're taking the road trip. That's great. Look, I don't fault Mike for bringing in, Wandy and David Morgan in that spot. I mean, what with nobody out in the 4th inning, you're going to go to who? Mason Miller, Jeremiah Estrada. I mean, I understand that it more than anything, what surprised me, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying I was surprised by it, was you look at that 4th inning, it's a single walk. I understand Cortez wasn't great to that point, but meanwhile, he's only at 66 pitches. I just was surprised that, with no off day in the foreseeable future, that they went to the bullpen as early as they did tonight. Now, I assume that's, Mike, seeing the game in the balance there, and he wanted to, he feels like probably that Wandy could have given him some length. He did not. David Morgan gave him a little bit, got 4 outs. You hypothetically could get more from Morgan. I will say, though, in the moment, I kind of felt like, man, maybe Cortez can work his way out of this thing and you can squeeze out, 4 or 5 innings out of him tonight. Because once Peralta came in and ended up only facing 4 batters, and then Morgan comes in and he's kind of struggling too. I'll be honest with you. I was sitting there in the 4th, 5th inning going, how many pitchers are they going to have to use tonight? And are they going to have to use some of their big high leverage guys in a game that may be getting away because they need to cover innings tonight? Now, thankfully, Alec Jacob, like I said earlier, came to the rescue and got 2 1/3 scoreless innings to save the Padres from having to use anybody else. But, again, I think the other option there, and they didn't do it tonight, but the other option would have just been to allow Cortez to try to figure it out a little bit. I mean, he is an experienced starting pitcher. I know he wasn't great tonight, but it wasn't like it was a disaster in that fourth inning. I mean, keep in mind when Wandy comes in, the Padres have a 2-1 lead, and there are 2 on and nobody out, and Cortez is only at 66 pitches. So, I was just a little surprised that it was such a quick move to the bullpen tonight. Now, Nestor could have stayed in and given up the same 4 runs. Very possible. But I was in the moment a little surprised it was just so quick to go to the bullpen, considering, there's no off day until next Thursday. And Nestor's only at 66 pitches. It was a very aggressive, move there to go to the pen as early as they did. Look, the bottom line is, and I suppose, to Mike Shildt's credit here, he did get through this game and covered the innings without using the big 5 guys, right? The 4 horsemen and, Miller's in there now too. So the 5 that, their names, I've already said them. But, I'd be curious to see if in the future at all, they let Nestor or whoever it is just kind of work out of it a little bit. It was just very aggressive to go to him that early. And then as it's going south for Peralta and Morgan, it's not going well. I'll raise my hand. In the moment, I was like, man, how are they going to get through this game? Forget the score, forget the result. How are they going to cover the innings when it's only the 4th inning, and now they've had to use 2 relievers in the 4th inning alone? So it was an interesting game from that standpoint. It was. All right, let's step aside. When we come back, we'll talk more about this one. If you want to squeeze another phone call in, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Phone number to call if you want to get involved. Again, the final here tonight, Twins 7, Padres 4. Our postgame coverage continues after this.
Fernando, you're facing a really good... But the Padres continue to play well.
Just to enjoy the experience, man.
And every series has ramifications.
Thank you very much.
San Diego Padres. Enjoy the game, everybody. Fernando, congrats on another big win. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Padres post-game show continues. Did you know that every MLB stadium, inside both dugouts, has a set of 3 phones? One that goes to the bullpen, another to each team's video replay room, and one that can communicate with the press box if need be. I'm a baseball broadcaster, and this week my team is playing in Frisco, Texas. This stadium is home of a lazy river beyond right field. It stretches 174 feet, one of the most unique things in any ballpark in America. And the first ever person to float on this lazy river, NBA star Dirk Nowitzki. Fernando, you were all over the...
Start the game.
Total game changer.
Everybody's watching baseball right now.
The strategy there.
Hi again, everyone. Sam Levitt with you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. Have you ever been to baseball heaven? That's Cooperstown, New York, home of the Baseball Hall of Fame. From the Babe to Jackie to Hammer and Hank to Sosa and McGuire to Ozzie, Griffey, Pedro, and so many more, this place is a crown jewel of baseball history, celebrating the game we love. As a baseball broadcaster, many of you have asked me some version of this. How do I come up with different words and phrases to say during the game? Let me show you a little trick. In my setup at the stadium, I always have this list of play-by-play phrases. I'll look at it before a game or sometimes between innings. I also keep a running list of new things to use as I hear them when I'm watching or listening to baseball. That's part of how I come up with new ways to say stuff. Fernando, you're facing a really good...
Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Tough one in this series opener tonight in Minnesota, the Twins 7 and the Padres 4. We'll talk about the heart of the order in just a moment. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard and wrap things up, get ready for the middle game of this series tomorrow at Target Field. I just want to remind people of something because I see some comments on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. I said it earlier, look, if you're just catching up, if you didn't, catch the game here tonight or weren't paying super close attention, that's okay. That's part of the reason we're here to recap it for you. But you could look at the play-by-play from the game and see Nestor Cortes ejected at 66 pitches and say, wait, he got thrown out of the game? That's why they had to go to the bullpen that early in the fourth inning? No. Mike Shildt was coming out to go get him. And then, Nestor then starts talking to the home plate umpire, Manny Gonzalez, and Gonzalez throws him out. And I would imagine, without talking to Manny Gonzalez, that part of the reason he threw him out is because he saw Mike Shildt coming out to get him anyway. So he was like, forget it, whatever, throw him out of the game. So the point is, whether Nestor got ejected or not, he was coming out of the game. So it really is. It's really not much a part of this game. The fact that Cortes got ejected again. If you're just catching up and you were to look at it on a piece of paper and say, "Wait, Cortes, 66 pitches, fourth inning, ejected. Wait, Nestor got ejected from the game? Are you kidding me?" No, that's not what happened. Shildt was taking him out anyway. He was on the way to the mound when Manny Gonzalez threw him out. So just to recap it for people just joining us, and it was a short day for Nestor, pitched into the fourth, did not record an out in the fourth inning, and ultimately takes the loss in this one as he drops to 2-3. Let's talk about the Padres' heart of the order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the heart of the order. Presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Well, it was a rough night for the heart of the order. Manny 0 for 4, O'Hearn 0 for 4, Laureano 0 for 4. 0 for 12 combined for the 3, 4, 5 spots. Machado, O'Hearn, and Laureano. Again, Sheets had a good night behind him in the 6th spot. 3 hits. Iglesias had a couple of hits. Cronenworth had a hit. Tatis had 2 hits. Arise had a base hit. Freddie Fermin did not have a hit. Nobody in the 9 spot tonight had a hit. But the 3, 4, 5 spots, heart of the order, not a great night. Machado, O'Hearn, Laureano, a combined 0 for 12. We'll see if the heart of the order can do better tomorrow. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a handful of games going on right now, and we have a number of finals already around baseball. Let's start with the final scores. Cardinals beat the Reds 7-5 in 10 innings in Cincinnati tonight. Phillies beat the Braves 2-1 in Philadelphia. Rays beat the Nationals 4-1 in D.C. Brewers beat the Blue Jays 7-2 in Toronto. Really good series there between two very good teams. Best record in the NL, best record in the AL going at it. Brewers win it 7-2 in the series opener in Toronto. Mets beat the Marlins 19-9. Mets hit 6 home runs in that game. Jonah Tong got the win in his major league debut for the Mets on the mound. He went 5 innings, 1 earned run given up. Pirates beat the Red Sox 4-2 at Fenway. Guardians beat the Mariners 5-4 in Cleveland. Cleveland scoring 2 runs to tie it and win it in the 9th inning in that game. Yankees beat the White Sox in Chicago 10-2. Our old friend Trent Grisham, a grand slam in that game, his 28th home run of the season. It has been quite the year for Trent Grisham as he helps the Yankees to a 10-2 win. Astros beat the Angels 2-0 in Houston. Astros scoring a run in the 7th and another in the 8th inning. By the way, Christian Javier in that game, 6 no-hit innings before he was taken out. Astros win it 2-0. Tigers beat the Royals 5-3 in Kansas City. The Cubs beat the Rockies 11-7 in Colorado. Dansby Swanson, 2 home runs and 6 RBIs in that game. Games going on right now. Giants ahead of the Orioles 10-6 in San Francisco. 5th inning there. Rangers ahead of the A's in Sacramento. 7th inning. Rangers leading 5-2. And finally, the good news out of tonight. Well, so far, long way to go. Diamondbacks 3, Dodgers nothing in LA. 7th inning there. So hopefully Arizona can hang on for a win, and that way the Padres would not lose any ground in the NL West standings. If that score does hold, Padres would remain 2 games at first place in the National League West. And look, as we get towards September here, and we're going to be there in a couple of days, it is worth noting when I say 2 games, and you probably know this if you're listening at 9:12 p.m. to our post-game coverage on a Friday night, but Dodgers won the season series already, so they own the tiebreaker. So when I say 2 games behind the Dodgers, just keep in mind the Padres got to pick up more than 2 games. A tie is going to do them no good at the end of the season as far as the division title. So the Padres are actually, you could think about it, they're 2.5 games behind the Dodgers because, again, the Padres got to finish ahead of them. They cannot tie. They got to finish ahead, but we'll continue to get into that as we get deeper and deeper into September. But for all intents and purposes, Padres, if the Dodgers were to lose tonight to Arizona, would remain 2 games at first place in the NL West. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Friday. Tough one in Minnesota. Twins 7, Padres 4. Let's hear tonight's play of the game.
The line between winning and losing can be razor thin. Which play was the difference between victory and defeat? This is today's play of the game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Larnick, hot shot right back up the middle past Wandy Peralta. 1 run is in. Here comes another run. And all of a sudden, the Twins have a 5-2 lead on the 2-run single by Trevor Larnick.
That was unfortunately our play of the game here tonight. Made it a 5-2 Twins lead. The 2-run single for Trevor Larnick out of the number 9 spot. And the Twins would go on to take a 7-2 lead with 2 more runs in the 5th inning. And they go on to win it by a final score of 7-4. And again, Jake Cronenworth on the batter prior committing that big error on the tailor-made double play ball. That certainly didn't help, but I will say it did feel like Larnick hitting that 2-run single. It was like, oh boy, it becomes a 4-run inning. How about this? The Twins scored 4 runs in a span of 5 batters to begin that 4th inning. By the time it got to Larnick, that was the 5th batter of the inning. There were 4 runs in by the time he hit that 2-run single. So unfortunately, that was our play of the game here tonight. Kind of felt like it had to be that way in a game like this. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow, it'll be a 4:10 p.m. first pitch in Minnesota, 4:10 p.m. Pacific time, that is. Our pregame coverage will begin at 3:10. Right-hander Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres tomorrow. He goes up against right-hander Taj Bradley on the mound for Minnesota. As always, if you missed any portion of our postgame coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. Or you can also go back and watch any portion of our post-game coverage on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Taking a look at the final totals here tonight. For the Padres, 4 runs, 9 hits, 1 error. They left on 6. For the Twins, 7 runs, 12 hits, 2 errors. They left on 11. Winning pitcher here tonight was Zebby Matthews, who improves to 4-4. Losing pitcher, Nestor Cortez, who drops to 2-3. And the save goes to Cody Funderburk, his first save of 2025. Time of game, 3 hours and 1 minute in the crowd at Target Field in Minneapolis tonight, 24,336. Once again, first pitch tomorrow at 4:10 p.m. Our pregame coverage will begin at 3:10. For our great studio coordinator, Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score here tonight, the Minnesota Twins 7 and the San Diego Padres 4. We will talk to you tomorrow afternoon right here on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great rest of your Friday night.